If you're interested in a little bit more detail on what I did, why I did it, and all the things I learned along the way, stick around because this next bonus bit was designed for you. Welcome back to another completed project. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie. I complete 3 projects a month, mostly mid-century, and I take you along the way from start to finish. And then I've designed the ending part of my videos to be what's called the bonus bit, which is more of the how-to and the details of what I did and why I did it. So let's get into it. I got this piece of furniture on Facebook Marketplace. It was listed for $150, but it also came with a very cool matching desk that's curved, and that'll be for a later project down the road. But this dresser was obviously blonde, and anytime you refinish a blonde dresser, you're not 100% certain what is underneath that blonde finish, but I could see from the listing that the wood grain was so beautiful, and when I took it home, I could see on the back that the label said walnut, so it was walnut wood, which I'm very familiar with working on, and I know that walnut wood is beautiful. Obviously, the first thing to do is to strip all that blonde finish off. So it was actually a pretty sunny, warm day for February. It was 50 and sunny. So my thought process, even though it's not recommended to strip furniture in that kind of cold weather, 50 is like along that borderline, and it was in the direct sun, so I decided to strip it outside. And it actually worked out. So after 2 rounds, I could very much see the wood grain. I could tell it was beautiful, but I also could tell I had a huge project ahead of me to get all that white paint out of the wood grain. I originally started to use steel wool. Okay, this hurts. I originally started getting the paint out of the wood grain through steel wool and just straight up acetone. But 1, I could see that it was drying out the wood pretty fast. And 2, I could see that it was going to take me forever. Now, I knew getting paint out of wood grain would take a very long time, but I felt like I needed to kind of reevaluate what would be the best tool to use for this. So my amazing husband went to the hardware store for me with my children, and he snagged this chemically resistant scrubbing brush that was designed for furniture or some sort of project like that, and that worked amazing. The black side, which was plastic and still chemically resistant, it didn't work as good as when I flipped it over and I used the metal side. That was the key. As soon as I started using that, I knew that it was going to work. That's really all I cared about. I didn't care how long it took if I knew I could do a good job at getting it out. I did not want to, at the end of this project, look at this piece of furniture and see white in certain areas. I wanted to get every single nook and cranny out because the wood grain was just so worth it. So because the straight up acetone was drying out the wood and I knew I was going to be scrubbing the heck out of this furniture, I decided to use the linseed oil and acetone combination. My only hesitancy of using, is that the right way of saying it? The only reason why I sometimes hesitate using linseed oil and acetone mixed together is because the linseed oil needs quite a bit to cure before you can start staining it and sealing it, because it's an oil and you don't want to ruin the finish that you're going to put on it. I only used like 1/5 of linseed oil ratio to acetone, but still it moisturizes the wood and you can tell that there is some sort of oil finish on it. But I wanted that because 1, it didn't dry out the wood, and 2, I could really see where the paint was when I saw the contrast of the beautiful wood grain and the white stark paint. When I was using just regular acetone, it would dry pretty quickly and I really couldn't tell if it was white because it was drying things out or if it was white because there was paint. So the linseed oil was a win. I waited the minimum 72 hours before I started to stain and seal this piece, just to be sure the linseed oil was cured enough to apply stain and seal. Another added bonus to adding a little bit of linseed oil to your acetone is you really get a good picture of how beautiful the wood grain is going to look. After all the paint was gone and out of the wood grain, I decided to go ahead and start filling all the nicks and dings in this dresser, which was quite a bit. I think there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 8 pieces that need to be filled with quickwood. Quickwood is an epoxy that just hardens like real wood. Takes about 2 hours to harden, but make sure to mix thoroughly, because I've made that mistake by thinking it was mixed thoroughly, and it does not dry unless it's completely mixed thoroughly. Once I filled and sanded those, I went on to staining the entire piece a mahogany stain, which I knew would be very similar to the actual color of this dresser, but I wanted to make sure that there was absolutely no white anywhere. Then after I let that dry, I went in to start with the base coat of blending all those epoxy areas. Epoxy is supposed to absorb stain, which is great for blending. I don't think it absorbs a ton of gel stain or just regular stain. It's more the pigment stains that I find the most success with. So that is exactly what I used. I invested in a set of Mohawk powder stains a while back, and that was huge for me because there's almost always a spot I need to blend in a piece of furniture that I'm restoring. And this gives me plenty of pigment color options to choose from. I can mix. All I really do is mix it with polyurethane and paint thinner, equal parts polyurethane, equal parts paint thinner, and then add the pigment based on whatever color I want. And then from there, it's just a lot of playing around. Sometimes you apply it and it looks great and it's maybe a little bit darker after it dries, and then you have to try again, and then you have to mimic wood grain. It's just a lot of playing around. Some people immediately have an eye for this, and for others it takes quite a bit of time and practice. I've never considered myself an artist. I'm not completely illiterate to artistic things, but it takes a lot of practice for me, and I'm still learning, so it's not perfect, but it definitely is cohesive, and I'm very proud with the results. As far as the hardware goes, I thought, because on the back of the hardware it said brass, that it would just be solid brass, but it actually was nickel plated, no, iron plated. So when I went to go ahead to start scrubbing the hardware after giving it a good clean, it was being very blotchy, and I noticed something was different. So instead of sticking with the blotchy color, I decided to use Rub and Buff. I picked the antique gold option, and I think that that really made the hardware look a lot better. Because the pulls are actually super cool. I've never seen pulls like this, and I've honestly never seen a dresser like this. I love the curve edge in the middle. I like that it's not the traditional pegged legs, that it's a beautiful thick walnut veneered piece at the bottom, bordered. There's a lot to be said about this dresser. I hope whoever buys this piece really puts this on display, because this is a piece that needs to be seen. It's very beautiful. It's very, I can't tell if it's modern. Would you consider this modern? I don't know. It feels modern to me. If you're curious what I price things at, I am definitely a price to sell kind of person. I could sell this for $1,200 one day, maybe, if I just let it sit. But I got a lot of furniture to do, so I will be listing this for around $450, maybe $550, and I will see what I can get, because I'm not wasting a ton of time on it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. Do you like it blonde before? Do you like the way the wood grain popped? I am obsessed with the way that this is designed. I'm very thankful for the way that this turned out, and that it was worth the time and effort. If I thought for too long how long a dresser was going to take to refinish and restore to the standard that I want, I would never do it. Sometimes you just have to go piece by piece and to not worry about the timing. Obviously, I'm filming, so I do get things done within 10 days, which sometimes pushes it, but I get it done. But the average person doesn't have a time constraint like that, and you can just take your time and just enjoy the process. Put your headphones in, listen to your favorite podcast and your favorite music, and just have fun enjoying the transformation. I promise it will be worth it. Unless, of course, it isn't, which sometimes does happen. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that won't happen to you. Thanks again so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you love this kind of content, like and subscribe, because I will be posting 3 complete projects a month, as well as some shorts and reels along the way. And I'll see you next time.